Welcome to How Leaders Lead. I'm Kula Callahan, here to bring you another edition of 3 More Questions with David Novak. David, are you fancy like Applebee's on a date night?
I hope so. Let's go, Kula. Let's go.
Today, we're debriefing your conversation with John Payton, who is the CEO of Dine Brands, which is Applebee's, IHOP, and Fuzzy's Taco Shop. I'm so excited to talk to you about your conversation with John because he leads these nostalgic, iconic brands that have stayed super relevant over the course of their existence.
Absolutely. And I think one of the things that they try to do is stay current by doing things that keep the brands in the vernacular, keep them into what's happening now in the world. And then he's got a totally different challenges with Fuzzy's Tacos, which is basically a new brand. And it'll be interesting to see what he does with that one.
He's definitely got a fun challenge on his hands, David. But for our conversation today, I'm going to hit you with 3 more questions. Are you ready for it?
All right, let's go.
Question number 1. John and his team at Applebee's had a pretty amazing viral moment that created tons of momentum for their brand with the song Fancy Like by Walker Hayes, which I'm sure everyone listening to this podcast has heard. David, did something like that ever happen for you at Yum Brands where you had this viral moment that created all of this momentum and positive word of mouth about your brand?
Well, I don't think we had a fancy-like moment, but we did have a Colonel Sanders-like moment. Shortly after I left Yum Brands, the KFC came up with the idea to bring back the Colonel. Now, we had the Colonel in many different forms. We had him in an animated form. We'd had him with old nostalgic film where we did commercials with the Colonel. But they decided to bring back the Colonel by using different actors and actresses. And in fact, they had, George Hamilton, Reba McEntire, all kinds of actors and actresses that, played the role of the Colonel. And it was hilarious and it was attention getting and it went viral and it created all kinds of momentum for the brand, drove same store sales growth. And they realized that it was so popular that they just kept saying, okay, what's the next celebrity? Let's bring them on. And that's exactly what they did. And they built on that viral moment.
What I think that John's team has done so well is that this viral moment doesn't really feel like just a flash in the pan. It actually feels like something that they've built on. I mean, Applebee's has been around for 66 years and they still are opening 40 stores a year. And obviously there's stores that close, but that's a pretty significant growth for a restaurant company that's been around for that long.
Absolutely. When you can add new units, when you've been around for that long, it shows the vitality of your concept. But the only way you do that is by bringing new energy, new sales to the brand so that the unit economics justify people to open up new stores. And I think this is what every brand is really looking for, right? It's ways to get their brand into the vernacular. And I always called it talked about marketing. That's what you want to have. When you have marketing that's talked about, that means your brand's being talked about, and that means your sales usually go up.
Question number 2. One skill John is really focused on helping his team develop is the ability to be agile and act with urgency in a world where things are changing at a really rapid rate. How do you inspire your team to embrace this agile mindset daily when the pace of change might feel overwhelming at times?
Cool. I had a couple of signs that I had in my office whenever people would come in and meet with me. One of them, what's new? There's a sign that just says, what's new? And the other one was a sign that says, what's next? And, people would know that when they came into my office, I was always looking for what's new. And then if they told me what was new, then I'd say, okay, that's great. Now what's next? And I think that's kind of conveys to the team that, we're all about, creating news, creating excitement for the brand. And, that's what you have to do. And for every category, no matter what the brand is, you want to have vitality, you want to have energy, and you do that by not only adjusting to the trend, but creating new ones. And sometimes you're lucky enough to do just that.
What's new and what's next? I love those two questions as even just a filter for giving updates in meetings, just to make them more exciting and to kind of force yourself to get into that mindset of forward thinking and not just simply keeping up.
Yeah, we had this big notion of beating year ago. And the only way you could consistently beat year ago is have some things that were better than what you did the previous year. That means it's very rare that you can get better results by just doing the same thing. Now, you might do the same promotion, but you got to add something new and something exciting to it so it outperforms the promotion you did the previous year. But you never stand still. And that mindset is critical in the world of marketing. And I can tell you for sure, if you're in the retail business, you better be creating constant news for your customers.
Question number 3. Pretty much every organization now is thinking about AI and how to leverage it. And John admits that their initial approach to thinking about how to utilize AI was too limited and cautious. But now they're using AI to help drive innovation and brainstorming and really creative ways for their company. David, how did you embrace new technologies and what advice would you give to other leaders about doing that?
Well, first of all, you have to be on top of what's happening now. And right now, obviously, it's AI, and that's why Dine Brands is really trying to figure out how to use AI to help drive their sales and their margin improvements and really improve their business. But it's AI right now, and who knows what it's going to be 5 years from now. But as a leader, you got to adjust to the technologies that are available to you. Years ago, there was the creation of the internet, and out of the internet came digital marketing. And, I kind of grew up in the world where people were really good at doing traditional marketing. You did TV ads, print ads, tried to stay on top of the customer. But then digital came into play, and all of a sudden now you have to figure out, how do you use social media and all the options that are out there, Facebook, Google, YouTube, all those things that are out there for you to really take advantage of. You've got to be on top of those things, but they didn't even exist, 15, 20 years ago. But when they came on the scene, the people who got on top of it first were the people who really showed their customers that they knew what was happening, and they were where you're basically at. At Taco Bell, we had this thing called the fishbowl, and we literally measured social media every day. We knew everything that was being said about Taco Bell. And then when somebody was saying something about Taco Bell, good or bad, we were able to go online and give our perspective, pay a compliment to somebody, or basically apologize if there was a mistake. But we were totally in tune with our customers. And that's what I think you have to be. And as the world changes and technology changes, your customers are using that technology. So you better be on top of it too.
Well, it goes back to what you were saying earlier, David, about what's new and what's next. I mean, that doesn't just refer to, the people on your team or what your customers are saying. It's also what's new, what's next with technology as well. And I think you're so right. If your company and brand is not embracing the new technology that your customers are using and talking about, then you can quickly become pretty irrelevant, I would say, and create dissatisfaction among customers if you're just
It's
not.
Interesting. I came up with the kind of slogans or mantras of what's new and what's next when I was running marketing at Pizza Hut, and we had the Making It Great campaign. And the Making It Great campaign was famous in that day, even though it was very traditional with, mainstream television advertising primarily, that we did every month, that we would do a new commercial and get it out there. But, little did I know that the what new and what next would be changing as much as it had. But it has. And guess what? If you're not on top of it, you'll be at the bottom of it soon.
So true, David. It also reminds me of the concept that you wrote about and then how leaders learn, because these new technologies, the learning curve can be pretty steep at the start of it for everybody. And so always learning, always reading up on what's new, what's next, so that you can stay relevant to your customers and always learn is just so important.
Well, that's the excitement about business is that learning and
Totally.
and staying fresh. And when you've got that active learning mindset, you really can make that happen in a way that really grows yourself, grows your people, and grows your business.
I love it. I love it, David. Well, that does it for our episode of 3 More Questions for today. Really great stuff, David. I'm inspired.
Well, I'm glad you are. And coming up next week on How Leaders Lead is Aaron Witt, the CEO of BuildWitt.